Alrighty. Testing, 1, 2, 3. What's happening, folks? I've got my Toman mug here. And I'm drinking coffee. Yes, I am. Still waking up. I slept in a bit. Give me a break. Today, for those early adopters that are here on my live stream, I'm going to show you this real quick. This is what I'm using. It's a Samson, it's called the G Track Pro, and it's a microphone and USB interface, and I think it sounds pretty damn good. So I'm just trying a different one today than I did last week, so you guys let me know. Sounds clear, says Gray the Cat. That's good. So with this thing, you just plug it in. First of all, it's like really robust and hefty. And you plug it in via USB to your computer, and then it's got, similar to the microphone I was using last week, it's got a microphone preamp built into it. It also has this is kind of cool, it's got a 1/4-inch jack on the back, so you can plug a guitar into this and run it right into your computer. And then there's a headphone jack here, so you can plug in, you can monitor whatever you're running into it. And I believe you can use both the 1/4-inch input and the microphone at the same time if you want to. I mean, it's a fairly sophisticated microphone with figure 8, cardioid, and omni polar patterns. And yeah, it just seems like a really easy thing for podcasting, live streaming, as well as tracking. With that 1/4-inch input, it'd be an easy way to get guitar into your computer, into your DAW. And we got Russia in the house. Hi from Russia. What's up? I'm sorry I can't read your name because I just don't read your alphabet. I wish I could. Phil says your favorite distortion overdrive pedal. Geez, I don't know. When you say that, a whole bunch of things come to mind. Distortion pedal? I think there's some really good ones. The ones that come to mind are I really like the Riot, the Lagrange, the BEOD, the 5150, the Plexitone, the Atomic Overdrive, which is really more of a distortion to me, in between distortion and overdrive. What else? Those are the main distortions that kind of come to mind that I really dig. I like the little Brute Drive too. Talk about the Steve Vai show, says Murray. I will. We'll get to that for sure. I went and jammed with Steve Vai the other night, which was an amazing experience. And it's sort of terrifying, but also a lot of fun. Just cleaning up my desktop here. Sorry. You know how your computer is constantly, updates available. Do you want to update now? It's like, no, leave me alone. I'm doing a live stream. So you guys can hear me okay? Let me know that if everything's sounding good. Sounds amazing, says Oscillation Overdrive. Need to get one for voiceovers. Yeah, it seems to work really well. It's got a really, really beefy headphone amp on it, that's for sure. And the mic sounds great in the phones. I'm not using them right now. I just kind of set the levels and stuff, and it seems to be working good. Jeff says this sounds much better than last week, but I think you probably mean 2 weeks ago, because last week sounded pretty good too. I think I was using also a very nice microphone, Audio Technica microphone. I think they're both great. So I'm just trying them all out here to see which ones I like the most. They both seem very capable. 2 weeks ago, I think, was the time that maybe you were watching and it didn't sound good. Most people were very happy with the sound last week, I think. I hope so. Marshall says, happy Sunday. Tell me about fuzz. Well, with fuzz, there's many different varieties. It's sort of the most primitive form of pedal and distortion, I guess. But you've kind of got your fuzz faces, you've got your big muffs, and then you've got those are the two big camps, I think. And then you've kind of got variations on a theme. There's other original designs too. With fuzz faces and mini fuzzes, there's silicone fuzz faces, and there's also germanium, and that's the type of just know that a germanium fuzz face is a different sound. It's kind of a less hard sound, and silicone fuzz is kind of a harder, more distorted sound to me. The main thing too, to keep in mind is that many germanium pedals are kind of temperamental. So if you get a germanium style fuzz, they can be sensitive to heat. They're also sensitive to other effects that you put in front of them. But they sound great, and there's a tone to them that's really special. So that's a little bit right there. The big muff style fuzzes are generally, they work better with buffers and stuff like that, but they don't respond as well to your guitar volume control, which is what a fuzz face does. It's a germanium one specifically so beautifully. You can roll down the volume on your guitar, and they've got this magic kind of cleanup thing that happens. It's very sensitive to the guitar pickups and to the volume controls on the guitar. So there's pluses and minuses with silicon and germanium and all the different designs for sure. Am I tweaking the EQ curve on the microphone input, says Oscillation Overdrive? No, I'm not. I wouldn't even know how, actually, because I'm just running this right into the program I use to stream, which is called OBS. It's seeing this as the audio interface. So for those that just joined, once again, I'm using the Samson microphone called the G Track Pro, and this is what I'm using to speak into right now. So it's a microphone / audio interface that you can also plug. It's got a 1/4-inch jack on the back, so you can plug a guitar into it and use it to track into your computer. So nice all-in-one kind of microphone / audio interface solution. I'm digging it so far. Looks like the robot from Lost in Space, says Puffy G. Yeah, it's hefty. It's got this, like, really, kind of comes in the box like this, like connected to this stand. And it's got some weight to it, for sure. Which is nice, because you're not going to knock it over very easily. Which I tend to do in my studio. Okay, so yeah, a couple people, Murray and Rented, say, how was it sharing the stage with Vi? So, it was really an honor, and he was such a gracious and sweet guy. It was really fun. It was a little, there was a little bit of a scary aspect to it, and a little, I had to sort of view it as almost like a little bit comical, because it's like, he's got his rig all dialed in, he's up there playing, and kind of part of the vibe is that the music was never going to stop. So, he sounds fantastic, you know, and his rig's dialed and everything, but the stage there was a lot of guitar amps on stage, a lot of guitar rigs and pedal boards, and so you got up there and you kind of didn't know what it was going to sound like and what you should plug into. I picked the 5150 just because I've had that amp before, and so I plugged into it, and I was lucky. I was pretty able to get it working really quickly and able to get a good sound. But I did watch my friend Hafa Moriera. He got up. He was a fantastic guitar player, and he had his a friend there helping him, kind of teching for him, and he was plugging in his pedal board and getting his sound going and stuff like that. But the amp wouldn't work right away, so he stood up there and he kind of threw up his arms in the air, and it's frustrating because Steve's playing and kind of keeping the music going, and Hafa was, you know, he just wanted his stuff to work, and his stuff wasn't working, and it went on for a minute. And I felt bad for him, and I thought to myself, this is a little like a bad dream, you know, where you're dreaming like, oh, I've got to play with Steve Vai, and there he is, and he sounds amazing, and where's my guitar, and I got to plug in, and am I in tune, and what do I use, and oh no, the amp's not working. It was a little bit like, I don't know if you guys have ever had the dream like that, but I have. And so it was like that dream kind of coming to life a little bit. Once Hoffa got the amp going and the rig was working and everything, he played great because he's a pro and he sounded terrific. But anyway, it was a little like that where, you know, oh my God, I can't get the guitar to work, and Steve Vai's looking at me and going, are you ready? So anyway, but I had fun. It was cool. I wasn't like totally thrilled with everything I played or anything like that. It's sort of the arc of the jam at the end, I felt like for me personally could have been better, but I still had a really good time, and you know, standing there with him was amazing, and he's been a huge influence on me. And he's such a nice guy, you know. He's a really gracious guy, and it's an amazing event. I mean, I don't know how he's getting any sleep over this weekend. I mean, it's going on right now. It's still going. I don't think I was watching a little bit this morning. I don't think he's there. What did you guys think of it? Did you guys watch any of it on, you know, I'm sure you did, right? Like a bunch of you probably have been watching the live stream. If you haven't, check it out. It's at oh my God, is it the? I'm gonna forget the name of the website right now. Maybe somebody put it up in the. It's a Jamathon, I think, right? Or Jam. I gotta find the name of the website so that we can give it a plug. Somebody post it if you would in the chat. I'm just forgetting the name right now. And Big Mama, if you search Steve Vai's Big Mama Jamathon, you're going to find the name of the website. I think it's just jamathon.org. Jamathon.org. So you can go there and watch it. It's going on today until, I believe, like 4 or 5 p.m. today. There will be people performing. So it was fun. And it's also not to discount getting to play with Doug Pinnick again, which is, he's a sweet guy, and he's such a legend on bass and amazing. So that was really fun. Seymour Duncan Power Stage 170. Any experience? Yeah, I don't actually have any experience, but I've been talking to them. I wanted to get a hold of one because I wanted to try it with, some preamp pedals and try it, in the context of maybe like a pedal board bass guitar rig, that kind of thing. And also maybe using it as a wet power amp, if you like have maybe something like a plexi or something, and then you want to take a tap off the speaker send using like a Cert line outbox or something, then you could run it to some wet effects and run those via a power 170 to like a little 112 cabinet or something. And so I wanted to try it in a few different scenarios like that. But I haven't gotten it yet, and I haven't talked to the fellow from Seymour Duncan for a little while. I did a video for them a while ago, a review of a reverb pedal, which was really quite nice, and we were in touch then, but I haven't. We were talking about it back then, so I got to get back in touch with them. Is there a big difference? This is from Diana. Is there a big difference with outboard mic preamp versus an audio interface when miking amps? That would depend. I mean, an external mic pre is a great thing, but it's an expensive proposition. And these days, I've been using the UA stuff, a lot, and the virtual kind of mic pre's are pretty exceptional. I've found. Like I was tracking some vocals, and I'd been using like a nice EMI style mic pre, and good like a distressor, outboard compressor, and all kinds of stuff. And then this is on Holly Henderson's record. And then we did some tracking just through the Universal Audio mic pre, the Universal, right into the interface, and then you're pulling up in the Unison slot in Universal Audio's console, a virtual 1073 or a virtual SSL or whatever kind of mic pre you pick. And it sounded great, like just using the ones in the interface. And I've heard similar. There's a video I did recently where I tracked drums for my record, and you can find that, me and Kurt Busquera tracking drums on my new Apollo 8P, and we're just using the mic pre's, the virtual mic pre's for Unison for Apollo, and the drum sounds ended up sounding great, and Kurt's got a lot of outboard mic pre's at his studio, and he liked the sound of, he was like, this is awesome, I gotta get one of these things, it's amazing. So I haven't done a direct A-B kind of thing. I should probably do that. I guess that would probably make a good video, doing an A-B of like 1073 versus like my real, because I have some 1073s, or API, I've got some APIs to real ones. Just plugging right into the UA, setting the gain, and then, using 1073 in the virtual realm, and then I could just plug the same microphone right into the real 1073 and listen and compare and see if we can hear a difference. It'll make a good video. Any thoughts on the Fishman Fluence pickups? I've heard nothing but good things. I haven't tried them, but Steve Stevens told me personally he really thought they sounded good, and Friedman also really quite liked them. He was telling me, Dave Friedman, that he was intrigued and impressed. Mike Johnson's in the super chat, but he hasn't asked a question, so I'm gonna wait. Hi, Mike. Thank you for your contribution to the super chat. For you guys that don't know, there's this thing called super chats now, where somebody can, and I'm not, once again, a disclaimer, I'm not asking you to do this, but there's a thing there where that YouTube has enabled now, where you can like donate and your chat comes up in a different window and bigger, and I can see it right away and stuff like that. But it's a nice thing that they're doing, but I'm not, promoting or asking you guys to do that. You don't have to do that, but if you want to, I'm not going to stop you. L. Scott Music, hey dude, what's up? So is that TC Electronic Reverb pedal the ultimate small guitar studio reverb? Are you talking about the Hall of Fame or the Hall of Fame Mini? Hall of Fame Mini is amazing because you can load any of the TC Reverb tone prints into it, and it's the size of a mini pedal. So if there's one that you particularly really dig, you can load it in there. As far as it's a great pedal. The ultimate small guitar studio reverb. There's so many out there now that sound so good, to be honest. So it would just depend on what you gravitate towards. I mean, there's the Blue Skies and Big Skies and H9s. I love the H9. I use that black hole algorithm all the time. Stuff. It sounds amazing. And as well as the Earth on the H9, it sounds amazing. Great reverb. What else? The Flint is a great thing, with its 60s, 70s, and 80s reverb setting. But yeah, the Hall of Fame's, it's inexpensive and it's great. Michael says, I just saw Paul Gilbert in concert. Do you write lyrics to create guitar melodies? That's interesting. Is that like phrasing-wise he does that? Like, so he's writing an instrumental rock guitar song, and then he kind of... I definitely sort of try and think like how a singer phrases if I'm coming up with melodies. I think about how you would talk. And it's become kind of an unconscious thing, but when I'm writing a melody, it's like I'm trying to sort of phrase like a person would if they were singing or speaking, more than just guitar. And it's really helpful, actually, to listen to. Paul Gilbert has a lot of those great ideas. I took a private lesson with him once, and he had this idea of drum fills for guitar licks. That was another one. Like, if you want to come up with a cool guitar lick, what about listen to a great drum fill? Maybe something like Jamaica by Led Zeppelin or something. Something like that, right? Phrase like a guitar lick like that, And so that was one of his concepts. He's like, pick favorite drum fills that you like, and then come up with a lick in that phrasing. I thought that's a good like kind of rut buster, cool way to come up with things for sure. So he's got some neat ideas. Have I tried comparison guitars? I checked out one in Japan, not really, just on the rack, I kind of checked out what the neck feels like on one of these, that kind of thing. And beyond that, I haven't. But small body acoustic, Martin 00 or Taylor 912. Yeah, they can both be cool options. I like the little baby Taylors too. Don't discount too an old Gibson, like what were they called, the little B15s, or you can find vintage Gibsons that are kind of small body and they're not expensive, and they got all that vintage mojo from the 60s. They can be a great buy. They can cost you about the same price as what a decent, nice new acoustic would cost, and yet they're just kind of it's sort of like getting a melody maker or something. It's like an affordable vintage guitar. So that would be my first. With acoustics, even more than electrics, I think if you get a good vintage one, there's nothing like it. It's like when people talk about vintage guitars and is there a difference and new guitars sound great and all that kind of stuff. Find a good vintage acoustic, and they speak like nothing else, like a good J45 or J50. I had a 59 J50. That's my second biggest guitar selling regret. The blow end just on those guitars. It's got a lot to do with the way they used to do the bracing. Because if you look in a J45 or a J50, maybe some of the more like kind of like upscale newer ones have this more. But like look at a standard Gibson line J45 reissue. Look at the bracing on the inside. It's about that thick. If you look at a vintage one, it's scalloped and it's about that thick at the narrowest point. It's very, so there's like, less wood going on in there is my theory to kind of stop the resonance. But I mean, that's the biggest difference I could see between the two is the size of the bracing is completely different. I'm sure they do that for stability and stuff, but the new ones that I've tried, nice guitars and stuff, but they don't sound like an old one. My J50 had this blow end that sounded like a cannon. It was just the most beautiful sound. Now, granted, I got that guitar in the 90s, but it was not expensive at the time. It was $1,600 or something, $1,800, which was like the price of a new Les Paul then, I think. Like, it was 98 or something. So, I mean, it was a comparable price to when it was a 59 Gibson. Anyway, I still don't think they're that expensive. You can find them. They're not that cheap anymore, but, great buy. Oh, you're saying on a budget. Oh, sorry, that's a different question. Mike Johnson, any suggestions on studio recording mics for rock vocals on a budget? Well, I mean, this could be a good option, right? This is your mic and pre and everything all in one, so there's one on a budget. I don't know the price of this. It's a G Track Pro, but I know it's not expensive. Other ones, Audio Technica. Great mics for instance, the mic I used on my live stream last week is called the 2020, I believe, and it sounds great to me. I believe that it's $100 to buy without the USB option, so it's the price of an SM58. Sorry, my nose is driving me crazy. What else would I look at? Great rock vocal mic that's not too expensive, and a great thing to just have around in your microphone arsenal is a SM7. It's a Shure dynamic mic that you see a lot of radio announcers use, but also they're terrific studio mic because they're kind of bulletproof. You can use them on it. You can use it on hi-hat or snare drum or anything like that. So it's a nice mic to have around. Use it on a guitar cabinet. They work really, really good, I have found, on screamy, kind of screechy singers, especially like if you've got a female singer that's got an especially sort of mid-rangey voice that when she lays into it, it can be a little piercing on like a nice, $5,000 condenser studio microphone. SM7 is the mic to use. It actually sounds great then. Get one of those in 1176, and it's like, LA2A, and your problems are solved on a singer like that. So, and they're around $350, I think. So that's a studio classic. Great. You can't go wrong with SM7. It's one of those mics that you could even hand hold and kind of, I think a lot of singers have probably ended up cutting vocals with those, thinking maybe they'd be the scratch or whatever, but then they've kept them. So look into that. More of condenser type mic or something. I would say look at the Audio Technica. Just noticing the red coming on in this mic a little bit, so I don't want to clip it. It's got a little overload light on it, which is nice too. Just turning it down a little bit. Okay, of course my chat jumped around, so I'm going to just find where it was in the chat here. Excuse me 1 second. And I'll try and start moving a little faster. Oh boy, I completely lost my place. Sorry guys. Just 1 second. Okay, found out where I was. What's the most number of guitars I have ever toured with? That's from Paul. Probably like 15, something like that. Some gigs, it's just necessary. Or not necessary, it's a little extravagant. Probably in the most, you probably need 10 or 12 or something, but you take 15 just in case, because you can. If they're willing to take 10 or 12, they'll take 15. Haha. But, and have I taken my 63 335 or 66 Tele? Yes, I took my 335 out with Melissa Etheridge, and I used to use it quite a bit with her. I didn't really want to, but I brought it to rehearsal once, and after I played one song with it, she's like, "That's a great guitar, you better bring that." And I was like, oh, I just painted myself into a corner, so I took it out. And it was great, and nothing happened to it. Oh, one thing happened to it. The tone knob shaft, I think the tone or volume actually broke, and then magically on one of the volume pots, and a tech was able to fix it. He actually fixed the old pot and was able to put it back together, and it was kind of amazing. That I thought it was a goner for sure, but he got it together. The 66 Tele I've used with Tyoshi in Japan. Yeah. Are there going to be more new colors of the signature guitar? I would like there to be. I was thinking either like candy apple red would be nice with a black back and black neck. It'd be super cool. Or like dark cherry candy red kind of. Or maybe Inca silver. Inca silver top with black back, scrape binding, black pickup rings, and black neck and all that. I thought it looked pretty good. So, yeah. And Mike Johnson says, konnichiwa. What's up, dude? Jeff says TWE1. Yeah, that's the Trainwreck style ethos pedal. That is a good pedal that I have on my board right now. I should have mentioned it. It's a really nice, unique distortion pedal. We were talking distortions earlier. Yeah, so what do you think about the difference between XFX 2 and 3? I haven't tried the 3. That new display looks really nice, but I have not tried. I'm still, experimenting with my X8. So hard to keep on top of all these things. Have I ran any of my amps out to the reactive load and then into the power cab? Yes, Matt's asking. I did try that here the other day. Now I could only do it, I can't really play loud in here, so I did it here with at low volume. It's pretty cool. I loaded up some Celestion IRs into the power cab and then used my PT100 into the reactive load out into we're talking about the Line 6 power cab, which is basically a full range monitor that looks like a guitar cabinet, and it has IR capability in it, so you can load impulse responses into it, and so yeah, I had thought of that. One cool application would be to take an amplifier into a load box and then go out into the little powered cabinet, and then you could use you could use a Plexi or whatever you want into the little 112, and it sounds pretty cool. I really want to try it at a higher volume, like kind of a gig volume, see how that feels. So I have to go somewhere else to do that, but it worked pretty well. Totally usable. Mike Johnson says, I wanted to hear more than one song. Yeah, at the jam. Yeah, it was pretty tight, like the schedule. Especially when you get in the evening, he's got a lot of guests there and stuff that are scheduled to play, and it was like a tight, We had talked about doing Dogman, maybe. Right? So I was ready to play that, but we didn't have time to do it with Doug. Saw the inner IG clip, says Matt Harrison. Looked like you had a blast. Yeah, it was fun. It was super fun. It was just an honor to, come on, Steve Vai. It's like, I remember when Eat 'Em and Smile came out and all that, and I went to that show. He was like he was like, give me a break, So to finally get to jam with the guy was pretty cool. I hope it happens again. Good studio monitors for recording guitar on a budget of $200 to $300. You have to just go listen. It's really a personal thing. Go down to the local store, and there's tons. If you've got a Guitar Center locally, they're going to have everything in the $200 to $300 range. I like the Atom monitors a lot for lower price ones, and they have a new lower price line that I think they probably have something in that $200 to $300 range. So listen to those. That would be my recommendation. Check those out first, but just listen to primarily, I would say, to music you're familiar with, and listen to, if you're a guitar player and you're tracking, listen to stuff with guitar tones that and stuff where the guitar tone sounds great, and then listen to it on those monitors and say to yourself, like, okay, like, this sounds good to me on these, or at least sounds like something I'm familiar, like if it's a tone you love, it should sound familiar coming out of the studio monitors. It shouldn't sound like, oh, that's a lot brighter than I'm used to listening to, or that's a lot. Do you know what? This is kind of the studio monitor is supposed to be flat, so they're not going to sound like as pleasing as speakers that you might listen to music on, or systems. So it's kind of a bit of an oxymoron or whatever that I'm saying here. But basically, I think that you want to be comfortable with the guitar sound. You don't want it to be a mystery. Like when you're mixing, like, I think I need to add a lot more high end and scoop some lows in order for this to sound right on most systems, but do you know what I mean? Like, you don't want to have to be overthinking it. It should be a natural thing, the way the guitar sounds coming out of the studio monitors. You want it to be a kind of a natural thing and not be a fight. It's like, for example, I have some Dynaudios here at home that I use, BM5 Mark IIIs. They're good. I like them. They sound, I'm pretty comfortable on them. Not as comfortable as the Atoms that I have in my main studio A7 Axis. Those, I just know the way guitar is supposed to sound on. Like, sounds, I know when I've got it in balance perfectly. Similar to the Barefoots that I use as well in the main studio space that I have. The Dynaudio is good. They're a little darker. They're a little more relaxed. So I can't make guitars quite bite on these like I'm used to, or it's going to be too much on most systems. So it's about what you're comfortable on. Having said that, you can almost learn anything, any studio monitor, and get used to it and make it work, as long as you're willing to, maybe it's like, well, I need to... NS10s is a prime example, the old Yamahas. It's like you had to make the guitars kind of bite your head off, and then it was right, which is why people used to put, tissue paper over the tweeters and stuff, because they were just so aggressive but you had to make stuff sound aggressive on them, or you'd play it back on any other system and it would be too dark and woolly. Jasmine says, looking for a good analog delay in front of an amp for solo and slapback stuff. There's some great ones out there. I mean, you want something that's kind of dark, good analog delay. I would say, I love the Echoplex that I've got on my board. It works great, and you can get it good and dark and murky and kind of crappy sounding. You know what I mean? Like degraded, crappy in a good way. I mean, if you want to, there's some options there. The good old, I thought it was here at my feet, but it's not. The L Capstan from Strymon, that's another good one with tape age control. You can darken it considerably. A lot of analog delays. With the Echoplex, it's the way and George Trips is a smart guy this way, because he knew most people are probably going to be running it into the front of an amp. The mix control, or kind of the echo volume control, has got a big wide sweep on it, so that in front of dirt you can get it at a nice level. It's a hard thing to do because distortion crunches up delay and kind of spits it out very loud, because it's compressing and distorting the delay. So you have to make the mix control on a delay pedal kind of come on very, very, very gradually if you think you're going to be, if you're designing a pedal to be run in front of dirt. Same thing with reverb. He did that kind of with the M300 for MXR. It was designed to be run in front of an amplifier. So it's like you're running an effect into compression. You know that's going to happen. So you need to, the compression is going to blow the effect up and make it more, pronounced. So you kind of design the pedal around that application, as opposed to like if you're running it in an effects loop, you've got, you can have a much more sort of linear approach to it. So it's interesting, I think. But anyway, yeah, I would say try the Echoplex would be my recommendation. Actually, the good old MXR. It's a small pedal. It sounds great. You can plug a tap tempo foot switch into it and use it that way if you want, and it's really friendly using it in front of an amplifier. It's not analog, but it sounds like it, so it doesn't matter. A good analog delay, try Boss, the DM2 Waza or something like that. It's real dark. You can't vary the darkness. It just sounds that way, but that'd be a good analog option. Hello from Venice. Congratulations on jamming with Mr. Vi. Thank you. Did you bring something to play through? I did. I brought my little pedal board that I had a vibe, the viscous vibe from TC on there, because we were playing Robin Trower, so I wanted a vibe, and then I had a delay on there, El Capistan, and I had a Unit 67 pedal, which I want to talk a little bit about, that I did a demo of this week on my channel. I love that thing, so I used that for a boost. And that's from Joel Veal. I hope I'm saying your name right. And you say you're an inspiration to me. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks for tuning in. And Corey's in the super chat. Corey James Guitars. He says, thank you for so many years of great advice. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Thank you. And Simon says, how much do you pay attention to ergonomics when you're sitting playing at home? The right chair, sitting height. Like the chair that I have here, that's a really kind of a unique and cool question. The chair I have here actually kind of sucks for what I'm using it for. It looks nice. It's just a, but I should have a better chair for sitting for long. As we get older, it's like these things start to become like real significant. Because if your back starts hurting all the time, you can't work anymore. So it's an important thing, I think, to consider for sure. Having a good chair. I saw a cool one the other day on the Music Is Win channel. The fellow that runs that channel, he was doing a little studio tour. So search for the Music Is Win studio tour, and you'll see the chair he's got. He picked a really nice chair I believe it's probably, he mentions it, and you can probably find it in the video description below his video, but it's got arms on it that flip up and out of the way. So it's great for playing guitar, because you could use it like an office chair, but then, he picked it obviously for comfort and also for playing guitar. And that's neat. You might check that out. But yeah, it's an important, definitely like you mentioned, ergonomic with studio. So I'm designing a new room right now, and that's going to be a huge thing. Like my desk, I want all the amps on the switcher. I want, the little things like when you're doing these pedal videos like I do, just getting the pedal to stand up on the desk or be displayed in a nice way is like, how do you do that? So I need to figure out a way to have like some sort of like C-clamp or something holding on to the pedal so that I can position it in any way I want, and it's plugged in, and it's not some mystery how, because they come in different shapes and sizes, and it's like some of them want to stand up, some of them don't. And you end up like with this thing, like with cables coming out of it that's falling over, and it's just pain in the ass. Little things like that is like make your workflow better. Lighting, like I want to be able to flip a switch and have, LED panels come on and stuff, and nice good lighting in there. So I'm thinking about all those things to make my workspace better for sure, as well as a great patch bay that's super organized. I haven't been using a patch bay all these years, which now that I've got a lunchbox and multiple mic pre's and load boxes and all this stuff, I'm constantly getting up and plugging, you guys probably laughing at me right now because it's like, well, what a dumbass, why don't you have a patch bay? It's just like, I just haven't. And as the studio grows and you get more gear, it's like, oh, it's not that much stuff, I can make it work just by plugging it in kind of manually. I'm to the point where it's become too difficult, and I want to get all the cables out of the way and have everything just plugged in and routed, and it's very simple for me to patch things in and ergonomic, like you say. Definitely, Simon. That's both here in this environment, and then at the. I did get a great. I got this. I should. I can't really show you, but I got a great thing at IKEA the other day. I think it's called the Alex. You know how they've got all those names, and it's terrific. Go online to the IKEA catalog and look at it. Great for storing pedals as well as accessories and stuff. It's got 6 drawers in it, and the drawers are about that deep. So it's a little rolling cart, and you pull the drawers out. The drawers are super deep. They go back about yay far, and I can fill that thing full of pedals. And I just cleaned up so much in here by getting rid of a bunch of the clutter. The thing's like $120 or something, and it's just a terrific way to store pedals as well as like cables and headphones and stuff like that. So check out the Alex from IKEA to clean up your space. Let's see. Timo says, any advice on how to make my Helix sound more natural and amp-like? My number one, he's in the super chat, my number one suggestion is try impulse responses, Celestion, Owen Hammer. Try some other ones. Have you loaded in other ones and tried that? That is the number one thing you can do. It really, for me, that is the one thing that I feel like with that, you kind of they've given you the ability to upload your own IRs in there, which is fantastic. I'm not totally crazy about the ones that it comes with. I'll just say it. It's an amazing device, and I use it all the time. I'm a huge proponent of the thing, but I find loading my own IRs in there, which is it's a personal choice. I mean, it affects it's that big overall filter on your whole guitar sound. Putting in like some Celestions and stuff, and it just sounds. Then it's like, oh my God, there it is. It sounds really. It's like twice the unit when I do that. So that's the truth. I think they just sound terrific when you load in the Celestions or I've got some Owen Hammers in there and stuff too. Although I like the ones that they have in there for bass. I think they sound fine. I use the bass 400 in the Helix a lot, and whatever the standard kind of the 115 cabinet is, it sounds really good to me. Let's see here. Did you hear the guitarist Anton Oparin? No, I don't know him. I'm sorry. Haven't heard him yet. Last week's audio was fine, says Puffy G. Yeah, last week was good too, right? Once again, for those who just joined, if you guys haven't seen, I'm showing you what I'm using here. So I've been experimenting with different ways to do the audio on these live streams. So I've got the Samson G Track Pro this week, and it's a microphone / audio interface. You can plug a guitar into it. So with this thing, you don't need any external anything. You just plug this in via USB. Cable comes out of the bottom, USB, and it's got a mic preamp built in, and a headphone jack, so you can plug headphones into it and monitor, sort of monitor it's like in the analog world. It's cool. I'm digging it. Trying different things. I also tried the Audio Technica one last week, the 2020. It seems great too. Both are really good. Okay. Moving down. Have I tried Kingsley amps? I haven't. They're made in Canada. Yeah, I haven't tried those. What's the difference between the custom audio electronics PT head and the Sir PT100? A number of different things that both channels are tweaked and different. The power transformer, the output transformer is different. The effects loop design is different. The MOSFET boost is completely different in the PT100 compared to the tube boost. It's not even in the same location in the circuit. So there's a lot of differences in tone. If I had to just describe it, the custom audio version maybe sounds like more modern, and the Sir PT100 is veering more like in plexi. It still sounds like a modded plexi or modded JCM 800, but it's more that, like, it's lower filtering, a little bit more like 60s style filtering. It can still do modern tones really well, but it's a little bit more. Most people got it, and I think they found it maybe more like kind of friendly, to play. The custom audio version is great too. The tone of the custom audio, if there was two things that I asked that be changed, was it was a thing in the low end, kind of low and low mids, and also a little bit of edge in the top end. I wanted to soften that, and I wanted to lean out the lows a little bit. And this is mainly in the distortion sound, and so we did those things. Matt Harrison said, try the Dunlop Echoplex in front of your amp. Pete's got a great vid demonstrating. Yeah, true. Yeah, if you watch on my Tone Secrets running delay into distortion, you can hear the Echoplex pedal that I just recommended a few minutes ago in front of a dirty tone. How do you layer guitars in recordings, 3 or more, pan, left, right, or center, different amps and guitars? Kind of all those things. Jimmy Page was a master of that. Different guitars. If you're going to do a stereo pair, you could do the same guitar, but then it kind of ends up sounding like this big wall of sound thing. If you do a stereo pair with like a Tele in one side and a Les Paul or something in the other side, it has a nice contrast then to the tone. That it kind of sounds a little bit more dimensional or something, even if you're playing the exact same part. If you want parts to really stand out, you can do things like really aggressively mid-ranged out, like treble booster or mid-range, and then when a part comes in, it really like almost like cocked wah kind of sound. God, I'm burping. Sorry. But anything you can do to kind of really make the tone kind of radically different is a good thing if you want parts to really stand out. Don't be afraid to lean out your lead sounds a lot. You don't need a ton of low end, especially if you've got a bunch of big sort of heavy sounding guitars going on, and then you want a solo to cut through. Once again, mostly mids and kind of a top end is your friend, and mid range. You don't want it to be like ice picky, but you can find nice frequencies, and then you can cut the lows out of that guitar, and then you can kind of turn it up louder without it fighting and muddying up the rhythm guitars. You can have the rhythm guitars in there kind of, and you might, with the rhythm guitars, you might have them. It's also about the parts that you play, and I'm guilty of this sometimes, but it's like, when there's going to be a solo coming around and you've got a bed of heavy guitars going on, try and not like arpeggiate too much or play too many high notes. Just stick down there basically power chords, and then the lead guitar really has a chance to breathe. And then, you can kind of just if you've got a part where you are kind of arpeggiating or playing something more complex, think about in the solo section of a song kind of simplifying it, because there's going to be something that's going to be forefront and out there that you're going to want to stand out. So just simplify the part a little bit and don't play so much stuff on top that's going to get in the way of the solo. You're not going to want to hear it anyway. It's going to be fighting and competing. So your articulate, intricate, arpeggiated, distorted thing underneath a solo can be a bad thing. So just be aware of all that, yeah, that's what I would say. And listen to Jimmy Page and how he did it. Tim Pierce is a master of layering multiple different guitar parts with different tones, different, strummy thing, an arpeggiated thing, high part with delay, a chimey thing. It's like there's so many different ways you can do it. You do have to think, though, is everything working together? It's like an orchestra, you have to orchestrate the parts. It's just like, if you had a cello and a violin and everything, play some music on an acoustic so we can hear it. I'm not really set up here to do that right now with anything, but I want to find a way that I can play more in this setting, though. I had an Axe-Fx hooked up at one point, and I had it hooked up with I can't even remember the way that I did it. I guess I just did it through my UA interface with a mic and the Axe-Fx plugged into the other channel. But it's kind of hard because I can't, it's difficult, but I'm not listening to the return right now, so I have no idea what things are sounding like. I just kind of set the level, make sure it's not distorting. And if I could get a better perspective on the way that you guys were hearing this right now, maybe I could get a guitar going for the live stream, and it would be cool. Anyway, I'm learning. At least the spoken thing is getting better, right? I'm looking for a Keeper Les Paul. Can you recommend a model budget of $3K? There's plenty of used, I would say probably R8 and R7 reissues under $3K. I sold one a while ago for $2,600, I think. So you'll find gold top reissues. Find a post 2013 or 14, like a newer custom shop, that somebody's selling. It's a gold top, or because they got the gold right after like 2013 or 14, the gold started looking a lot better, and it really looks right now. And I think the necks also changed a little bit. The necks were always so huge on those guitars. They might have changed them a little bit now to kind of reflect, a little less shoulder and stuff like that. But yeah, you can find a nice used R7 or R8, maybe even a R9, 59 reissue if you look hard enough. Henrique says, thanks for turning me on to the Freakout pedal. Love it. Perfect for silent recording. It is so great. The Freakout is the Digitech that you can do feedback with. And it's great for recording, even through headphones or whatever. You can get some cool, authentic kind of feedback type tones with it. It's pretty great. Have ever used Travis Bean aluminum neck guitars? Not really. I've picked them up and kind of played around, but I've never really, used one seriously or anything like that. Fella from India here. He says, "Hi Pete, greetings from India. Greetings from India. Love your work." Theoshing Marchang. Thanks, man. Thanks for tuning in. Paging down just a little, Mick Walt says you just got an Atomic Overdrive, but it sounds really boxy. What's up with that? Okay, with the Atomic Overdrive, put the mid switch in the middle and dump the mids down to like 9 o'clock. Then run the bass and the treble on about noon or 1 o'clock. There's your tone. You do have to cut the mids a lot. I believe it's with the is a switchable mid-range range switch. I think it's in the middle that I like it. Do that and cut it all the way down to 9 o'clock. Less boxy. Sounds really close to actually. If I run that into the PT100 into the clean channel with the bright switch on, it almost, I can get it really I do it in the how to use distortion and overdrive, how to use distortion, I think I called it. You can hear it in my video. I've got I think it's in the Tone Secrets playlist. You can hear the Atomic Overdrive dialed in like that. You can probably even see the settings in that video. Or actually, just go back and look at I did an Atomic Overdrive video like 7 years ago. If you go back and find that on my channel, you'll see the settings. I had to cut the mids a lot. It does have kind of a, I wish sort of maybe it didn't have so many mids, but because it sort of looks like unnatural almost. The mids are literally at 9 o'clock, like just up a little bit, and then it sounds about right to me, like an amp distortion. Ever jammed with Motorhead? No. I did play one night it was a New Year's Eve, and Lemmy was on the same bill. It was like New Year's Eve at the Roxy, and I was sitting in with Steve Stevens and Matt Sorum and those guys. We did a Sabbath song. We did War Pigs or something, and then a couple other tunes. And Lemmy was on like right before me, but I didn't get to play with him. I wish I did. What's the best distance? What's the best distance for the Samson mic? Best distance? Well, I'm about a foot back from it now, and it seems to be working well. It seems to be quite sensitive. If I get up closer on it, hello, 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 it's probably going to start to distort. But I guess any microphone will do that. I mean, it's got different polar patterns in it, figure 8, omni, and cardioid. So if I switched it into omni, if you guys don't know, the polar patterns on a microphone select how the microphone picks up sound all the way around. So we could do a little demonstration of that right now. I'm in cardioid right now, and if I get up close on the mic like this, it's probably going to, it's going to clip and stuff, but you're also going to hear bass increase. If I flip it into omni, okay, now if I get up on it, you're probably not going to hear as much of the what's it called, proximity effect as I get closer on it. So as I get closer, I can't talk as loud or it's going to clip, but and also you're going to hear more of the room, more like ambient sound, because now the microphone's picking up all the way around. And then figure 8 is this one, and now it picks up front and back, but rejects everything coming from the sides, like a figure 8. I'll put it back in cardioid. Sorry, I hope that's not making big booming, clicking sounds. Might be, but anyway. So yeah, best distance for the microphone, long story short, depending on what you're recording and how much ambient sound you want to pick up, either cardioid or omni or figure 8, you got to try the different things to see how that works with your room. And it's also going to affect the proximity effect of the microphone depending on the polar pattern of the mic. The proximity effect is the bass increase that you get the closer you get to the mic. So, for one thing, you might like the omni setting with the mic up real close and getting the guitar mostly, but it's also picking up a bit of the room and you're not getting as much proximity. Flip it in cardioid, you're going to hear more just the guitar, but also there's this full or low end thing. So it's all about experimentation. Did you go on after Orianthe? I did. Yeah, that's Michael. Yeah, I went on like one song after Orianthe, or 2 songs after her the other night. This is at the Steve Vai Jam the other night. The Samson seems to bring out the lows a little more, says Eric. Would maybe be better for voiceover. For the live stream, I think the Audio Technica was a little better, in your opinion. Yeah, I'll watch the videos later. I guess that's the easiest way. Once this uploads to YouTube, I can go back and watch the 2 and take a listen. Alvin says, Steve Vai, just a shredder. I disagree. I think Steve Vai is he's a one of a kind. He's Steve Vai, He's got his own. When we watch him on this live stream over the last few days, he's got to stand up there for hours and hours and hours and hours and improvise and come up with things to play. And he's you're hearing the sound of his mind and his heart and everything come through the guitar, I think. And he's trying all these different things. It's a constant stream. Most of us would be out of ideas after 20 minutes of what he's doing, I think. Me included. You're kind of hearing a stream of consciousness watching this live stream, and it's unedited, and it's extremely ballsy. And he's got I don't know. He's an extremely musical guy. I mean, you can't really say he's just a shredder. I mean, how he got his job with Zappa was transcribing Zappa songs. I think he was 16 or 17 or something, and he was doing transcriptions of Zappa's music and sending them to Frank and going, look what I can do. And Frank's like, who's this kid? I gotta hire this guy. Look at this. He's extremely musical. So, and he's a deep dude and a thinker, and he's just a special guy, I think. One of a kind. Any experience with high watt amps, says Sean. Yes. Contemplating a Reeves version and wondering if the 100 watt would be a big difference over the 50. I would probably get a 50. 100, it's like, God, 100 watt high watt is a brutal thing, It's just brutally loud and clean. If you really need that headroom into an aux, if you're going to load it down anyway, I don't think you're going to notice a big difference. Just get the 50, I think. I love it though. I mean, to me, high watt is its own animal, but I always kind of compared it to the, I used to say it's like the English Fender, I don't know if that's such a great description actually, but it's louder, cleaner, less compression. They'll still clip in a great way. I mean, a great rock and roll tone, but it's its own thing and just kind of brutally, tough with, I think, Pete Townsend for sure. Mic sounds amazing, clear with good bottom end, says J Rivers Tube. Cool. Yeah, I think it's a really great, seems to be a great thing, this thing. Okay. You play so much for your job. Do you ever just pick up the guitar for fun these days? That's a great question from Q-Stick. If so, what do you play when having fun? I like to still just learn like songs and stuff, like or find a YouTube video of something I can't do. I've been practicing a little bit and trying to learn things from other players. Like I got the both the Larry Basilio and Mateus Asado, all the Brazilians. I got their courses on Jam Track Central and just picking through those and learning some of their phrasing and licks. Super fun to me. I still love doing that. Just sitting down and learning a few new tricks. Yeah, I saw Laurie last night. It was so funny. I was walking up my street and there was two people walking down the other side of the street, and I thought, are those people looking at me? And I don't see so good, so it's like I can't sometimes see who people are sometimes, especially not in the dark. And I thought, it was kind of like unnerving me. And then I realized it was Laurie and her husband. And they were walking up the street, and they were going to my local little hang where I like to go. So, so we all went over there and had a drink together and stuff. It was great to see her. Just kind of randomly, they just parked their car, and I just left my place, and we were walking down opposite sides of the street. It was totally random. And it was pretty cool. She's such a great guitar player. God. All right, moving down. I'm sorry, I'm probably way back in the chat now. I'm going to try and move it along. Q-Stick says, I've been obsessed with trying different things. Picks, strings. Are you 100% settled, or you still experiment? Well, I have been experimenting with some strings recently. I've been experimenting with a 9.5 gauge. I'm a long-time Ernie Ball guy, and I love Ernie Ball, but they don't have that particular gauge, the 9.5 to 44. I also liked the D'Addario strings for a long time, so I went and bought some of those, the 9.5 to 44. It was when I was in Japan. I was sort of struggling with the humidity, and I was feeling like 10s were really, really, really heavy and sticky in like a hot environment in the arena shows we play there. It's very hot. You'd think Japan's a very advanced country. Why don't they have better air conditioning? But they don't. And so I went to a 9.5 to 44, and I just love that gauge. That's the first time I've experimented with a different string gauge in 10 or 15 years. I've been using 10s for as long as I can remember. So yeah, experiment with those. Also been thinking about experimenting with picks a little bit more. I love the ones I use. They're the Ultex 73s. But they've been feeling a little thin to me for electric guitar recently. The 73 gauge. It's kind of more like a medium pick almost. So yeah, I still love to experiment. I don't really mentally feel that much different than I did when I was 14. I still approach all this stuff the same, like working on, learning songs, sitting down to jam, trying different tones, trying pedals. I'm still really excited about it all. I go to Guitar Center and walk around, and people are like, what do you need to go to Guitar Center for? Like, oh, I don't know, because I like going in the music store and looking at the guitars on the wall. It hasn't changed. Or vintage shops or whatever, I like to look around, poke around at all this stuff. And it's still fun to me. I have a Sir Alt-T Pro, says Sam Andrews, with your Thornbucker pickups. I would like to use it more for higher gain stuff. Would you recommend switching the bridge for a Thornbucker Plus? Yeah, probably. The Alt-T Pro is a Swamp Ash body, so it's going to be more of a scooped sounding guitar, even with the hollow thing and all that stuff for sure. So maybe if you want to play some heavier stuff, although you might just experiment with doing different stuff with your pedals or your amplifier settings, and it could be a unique, cool sound using the lower output kind of pickup with that hollow Swamp Ash body. But definitely, if you need a little bit more mids push, the Plus would probably be a good a good way to go, I would think. Okay, yeah, I'm so far back in the chat, guys. I'm really sorry. God, I think I got even further back than I thought I was. I'm sorry. Going to the Amp show today, LA Amp show. That's from Andrew. Oh, you're asking me, am I going today? I went yesterday, actually, so no, I'm not going to go today. I went yesterday for a few hours. And let's see here. What do you prefer in wah pedals? That's from Alvin. The one that's on my board right now is just a little Dunlop Mini, you know, it's mostly because of the size. I'm not super picky. To be honest, the wah that I really bonded with was the old Vertex one that he got in so much trouble for rebranding, which is a BBE. I talked to the guy that actually was with BBE at the time, and he said, this is the wah that we got to, you know, design, that we need to clone. It's the you know, classic whatever, maybe it was Clyde McCoy or whatever, or something or other, whatever, Vox wah, I don't know what it was, but that's the one that they chose, some, you know, really vocal sounding cool 60s wah. That's what they based the BBE on, and then the Vertex guy was rebranding them or whatever, and the rest is history. But anyway, that wah sounded terrific to me. What he called his Axis wah, and it's the same as the regular BBE. And it was a really, really good sounding wah. Mine broke for some reason, and I should probably just get it fixed. But some other ones that come to mind that are terrific are the John Petrucci. I think is really cool sounding. Has a lot of controls where you can change the tone and the sweep of the wah and stuff. I never touched any of that stuff because I loved the sound so much out of the box. It had this. I really like wahs that are dark and vocal and kind of like really throaty sounding. So the throaty wah actually in the Helix is amazing to me. So the virtual wah, or one of the ones in the Helix, it's one of the darker ones that's kind of got a real, you know, the throw is kind of back on it compared to whatever the range, you know. And I like that a lot. And I also found that in the Petrucci wah. So I would say either look at the BBE, the Petrucci, or the, you know, if you need a little one, though, I love the little Dunlop Mini that's a space saver. I don't use wah a hell of a lot. I mean, I did it on my new record on a few tunes. But I'm not like a wah aficionado, really, like some people. I'm doing a demo of a new one that's coming out, actually, and I haven't plugged it in yet, but it's supposed to be great from what I hear. So that'll be coming out this week on my channel. God, thanks for reminding me. I got another thing to get done this week before I go to GitCon next week. And the Axe Forever says, getting to hang with Pete Thorn on Sunday, talking guitars and gear. Guitar nerd dream. Ah, thanks. I love it, man, too. This is a good hang for me. I'm almost out of coffee. I need more. I'm going to go get some in a second. Okay. Matt says, I've got to get a UA interface. It's worth it for the virtual preamps alone. They really are great. The UA stuff is, I can't recommend it high enough. I mean, it's some of the tools that I use every day now with my Apollo Twin and Apollo 8P and my satellite, all their plugins. Plus then you can try the PT100 amp plugin, which rules, I have to say. We get a lot of great feedback, people saying this is the best UAD amp plugin. Like, we wish the Marshalls sounded like this and stuff like that. So it's been awesome to hear. UAD actually, or UA, they sent me an email this week with a bunch of the comments that they've been getting, really, really positive about the PT100 plugin. So I'm stoked. And I can't take credit for the Brainworks guys did a bang up job getting the amp right in the digital realm. Robbie says, serious gas for the Unit 67F, your recent video. Think it would work well running in front of another overdrive pedal as an additional gain stage? Yeah, if your other overdrive is kind of your rhythm tone, you know, it's going to bring the noise floor up, which for some people might not work because it's a compressor. And you're also boosting with the range master, so you get a little more hiss for sure. To me, it's worth the trade-off of the hiss. It really sounds and feels great. My friend from Russia, I'm sorry I can't pronounce your name, says, I think that Groomed Noodler is your great groove hit. Thanks, man. Thank you. Appreciate it. All the way around the world. I visited Russia in 2013. I had fun over there. St. Petersburg and Moscow. It was fun to play there. And Daniel's in Vancouver, BC, Canada, one of my favorite cities. Hi, Daniel. Let's see here. If If I had to pick a couple sub $1,000 guitars to take on tour, what would I choose? I'd probably look for some used, you know, sub $1,000. I'd probably find some used Strats or something, you know, something with a humbucker in the bridge and something with a single coil in the bridge. There's stuff out there that you could find for sure, you know. Probably, you know, there's good inexpensive gear out there these days for sure. You obviously can get something like that and then take it and mod it however you want. Take it to a tech, have it refretted, get a different pickup, make it work. Okay. Matthew says, is the video stuttering for anyone else or just me? Shouldn't be. Should be okay, I think. Stuttering here as well, says Marcus. Really? Well, hopefully that's not happening anymore, guys. No stuttering on my end, says Matt. Well, of course I'm way back in the chat, so hopefully that resolved itself, but you just never know. Phil Collins, In the Air Tonight, drum fill. Yeah, so we were talking earlier, that's Alvin, we were talking earlier about making guitar licks out of drum fills. That was a Paul Gilbert suggestion to me in a lesson I had with him. So, yeah, you could do that on a guitar lick. It would be cool, right? You know, I like it. Paul Gilbert's an extremely rhythmic player, too, even in his fast lead, you know, his picking, and he's not a guy that's like floating around a lot of legato stuff, generally speaking. That's one thing that I sort of liked, you know, that aggressive, even when it's lightning fast, you can hear the rhythm in the picking, and it's accurate. So it kind of makes sense that he would get some guitar lick ideas from drum fills. I think it's cool. We've got 249 people online. That's cool. What solderless cables would I recommend for a pedal board build? Really none. I'm not a fan of the solderless cables for pedal boards, guys. I'm not. I just think that that's the weakest link. So you want to get a properly soldered cable with hopefully with some heat shrink and stuff around the end that's tight. You know, I use these Providence ends. I can't really show you right now, but the Providence pedals, or Providence cables, excuse me, they make the short end that's really nice for pedal boards. And you can get that and kind of, you know, have it soldered, heat shrink it, and it's tight. It's real low profile and kind of small. They make nice cables for pedal board too, nice cable. That's really, you know, the thickness of the cable on a board, obviously, and the size of the ends becomes important when you're trying to shrink the size of the whole thing down, and not have a board that's too big. So I kind of recommend the Providence as being my favorite, I think. Yeah, just the solderless. You don't want to have an issue where it's like you're running into, you know, oh, my whole sound went out at the gig, and you got to find somewhere in the middle of your pedal board the one cable that I just find with the solderless. You'll ask any like Friedman or any of those guys, and they're all about not. That's where I get it from, is them saying that you can't use that stuff on a pro pedal board. I have a Neumann 102 and a Shure SM58 for my home recording. That's from Mike. Yeah, the Neumann 102. That's a good kind of like $5,000 to $1,000 microphone, I think, right? Somewhere in that range, like $700 or $800. Good quality, something like the sound of a Neumann. Is there any chance to get a hold of my Helix patches? I don't really have any that. I mean, I have some, but they're like designed specifically, some of them for cable method for use with different things that I have, and it's like I would be happy if Line 6 wanted me to make a pack of presets or something. If they approach me with that, you know, you can send them an email and tell them you want me to do that, and I would, out of the, you know, design like a pack of Helix. Once again, though, I would want my IRs, the ones that I like to use with the Helix, I would want them to be included, so that complicates things because it doesn't come with them. So that's a really important aspect. So maybe in future, though, I think they're looking at different things with different third-party IR people and stuff like that. It's possible they might do some of that stuff, you know, and then it'll get easier. But okay, moving down. Claudio says, regards from Chile. Have you ever been here? I have. I played there in 2007 and 2009 with Chris Cornell. And if you search for 2007, 2009, Chris Cornell, Chile, you'll see me up there on stage in Santiago on YouTube. You can find lots of videos from those shows. Great. The 2007 show was out of control. It was so hot, and there was about 10,000 people all in like what looked like an airplane hangar in Santiago. I don't know what the venue was, but it didn't really look like a concert venue. It looked like an airplane hangar with a stage that they'd put in it. And that I have some of the best pictures from the entire time touring with Chris from that gig. I got one photo of us all at the end of the show, just kind of like all in, it's taken from the back of the stage, and we're all got our arms around one another, and the whole crowd's there with arms up in the air, 10,000 people. It was like such a great, that's a big crowd for a Cornell solo show. The South America shows were like that. We would have like 7,000, 10,000. We did a festival for 25,000 down there. It was amazing. Most of the shows when we would play in the States would be more like 2,500, 3,000, 1,500 people, like those kinds of crowds for his solo shows particularly. But yeah, that South America was crazy. It was the first time he had ever gone to South America. So that would have been the very first time he ever played in Chile, was that night in 2007. And so the Soundgarden fans, the audio, it was kind of interesting because you could see Soundgarden fans and Audioslave fans, slightly different age, and about 10 years apart, roughly. And you could see when we'd play a Soundgarden song, the Audioslave fans, they'd be into it, but they'd just be listening. And then we play, vice versa, the other, play another song by the other band or whatever, and then all the people, and then the other fans are kind of listening. So it was interesting to see a guy that had been in two big bands with really rabid fans of each band there in the crowd. And not to mention his solo work, that was the one thing. You go to like South America, people sing along to every single word, even of the solo songs that may be more like deep album cuts and things like that. And there's just great fans down there. So I really had a good time in Chile, as well as Brazil, Argentina. Super fun. What impulse response plugins do I recommend for recording? I use the, that's from Toby. I use the Mix IR2 from Redwires. And I think it's great because, number one, you can load IRs up to 500 milliseconds into it, which means you can load some room IRs in there and get some room mic sounds, which I really dig. And the other thing is it's just easy file management and stuff, and pulling. You can load a bunch of IRs into like one instance of the plugin. So if you want to blend like a few of your favorites together in there, and it's got these sliders, it's very easy to use. And so Mix IR2 from Redwires is the one that I recommend. Brett says you suggested using a reverb plugin or reamp reverb pedal like Blue Sky. Sorry, I don't understand the question, but I see. So I suggest using a reverb plugin or reamp reverb pedal like the Blue Sky. Well, if there's something you really particularly like on the Blue Sky, a particular sound, and there's no reason why you couldn't, send out to it using a impedance matching box, like a reamp type thing. Send out via an aux send in your DAW or whatever, and get out to the Blue Sky. Bring back the stereo return into two inputs on your recording interface, then blend that in with your dry guitar sound. You could do that if you want to. It's kind of a lot of work when there's great reverb plugins that sound just terrific. So I use plugins most of the time. What you're describing, like using something like a Blue Sky with a DAW, I've never done anything like that. I either record the sound of the rig. I'm not doing a lot of like reamping and stuff like that, of sending things out again to analog boxes and back into the computer. I just with the quality of the plugins, and you can get some amazing sounds these days just using plugins, and it's so much easier. So yeah, I'm mainly doing that stuff in the box. If I've already recorded a dry guitar sound, I want to add reverb to it. It's going to be a plugin for me generally. Hollywood Jake says he'd like to see more amps in the sweet spot videos. Amps in the zone, I call them. But yeah, the next one will be an AC31, and it'll be a minute because my studio is a little torn up right now. I'm redoing it, but that'll be one of the first things I do. There's a fella at my space that has a great AC30, an old 60s one now. So I got access to one of those. I think he would probably lend it to me for that video. I've also got that guy right back there, which is a divided by 13 RSA31. That's a AC30 basically, and I would probably use that as well as my little AC15 hand wired, and maybe have all three of those amps in the video. Vintage one, modern boutique one, and modern Vox one, you know. So that's definitely the next one I'll do, and I will do it, definitely. Matt's saying, have you found a space for your new studio? Yeah, I have. Yeah. Anyone having any experience with mic modeling systems like the Townsend? So that's like, you can these days get a microphone that kind of is a flat sort of condenser mic, and then using plugins you can simulate different things like U47s or C12s or the different expensive mics. I haven't tried either the Townsend or the Slate mic modeling systems, but I hear great things about both of them. You know, and the demos I've watched and stuff seems really cool. I'm pretty tight with the Slate folks. I would probably hit them up and see if I could try out the Slate version, I think. Although the Townsend is for UA too, so, which I'm a fan of, all their plugins. So I'd like to try them both. Okay. Andy says, I just put a Thornbucker set in my Nags Kanai, and oh my god, best it's ever sounded. Can't stop smiling. That's awesome. Great to hear. I love hearing stories about people getting the gear and digging it. We spent a lot of time on those pickups, so I'm glad you dig it. Okay, I've got some mic recommendations here, and I just lost my place in the chat, of course. So, I think what I'm going to do is move down a little bit, guys, because in about an hour and 16 minutes, I can go about another 15 minutes. And so I'm going to move a little bit lower in the chat, and so that I'm not too far behind. I'm sorry if I missed your question. Please ask again now if you're still here, and I'll try and get to all these. Do I ever use solid state amps? Not so much. Yeah, not that much really, to be honest. Although I've been a fan of like the Roland Blues Cube stuff. I think it sounds good for, and I remember, you know, even being able to make like a PV trans tube or whatever. I didn't think they sounded too bad back in the day when I used to work in music stores and was selling those. You know, you can make a lot of stuff work, but the Blues Cube was the one that actually really was, the original 90s one I thought sounded really good. And so the new one I haven't tried with those tone capsule things in it, but I'd like to try one to see what they sound like. You know, it seems like most of the, you know, the direction these days is the modeling stuff, which isn't really solid state, is it? It's sort of solid state digital, really. Okay, moving down. Get your butt over to Norm's Guitars. I don't know if that's for me or not. It's from Sniper. Need my 11s. Can't play the wet noodle skinny strings, says Chris. Yeah, you must be talking about my 9.5, right? Yeah, I can't, you know, it's funny. I can play the heavier strings for certain things, but I'm kind of a wuss, and I'm just not really built for heavy strings. I like light strings and low action. I just do, you know. And I feel like you can get great tone out of them. I mean, Ty Tabor uses 9s. You know, and he's tuned to C. He's in tune. He sounds great. You can make it work. Billy Gibbons plays 7s, so I don't know. You know, there's been a lot of great guitar players that get good sounds out of the lighter strings. I don't necessarily. I think with, especially if you're playing more distortion, sometimes the heavier strings can be not the right thing. You know, for clean sounds and kind of edge of breakup, it can be a great thing. The more energy coming out of them or something, it can be a you know, fat. It's just different, you know. Tons of different ways to get a guitar sound. I used a Tech 21 Trademark 60 for several years. Very nice gigging amp, says Steve. That's yeah, that was a good solid state. You know, the Sens amp people, they've always done nice stuff in the solid state realm. Okay, move down. John says he has the BBE wah and he digs it. Yeah, it's a really good sounding one. Okay, do you measure your action or you just set it up by feel? Is it something you changed often or you just leave it there and play? When I pick up a guitar, if it feels uncomfortable to me right away, I pretty much go to work just making it work as opposed to, you know what I mean? Like adjusting the neck. Generally, if the action's changed on a guitar, it's the truss rod. That's what's, you know, if you were playing it one day and you pick it up 2 days later and it's like, oh, the action's high now. That's what changed, the neck. Nothing else changed. The bridge didn't get higher on the guitar for some weird reason. So it's the neck, and so I'm constantly adjusting truss rods on my necks. It's got to be right, and they do shift a lot depending on the rain or the dry weather or whatever's going on. Yeah. So, oh, here's a good question. Epitome says good live pedal, good vibe pedal for the Hendrix or Trower sound on a lower budget. The viscous vibe from TC is a great low budget vibe. That's the one I used the other night with Steve Vai. It sounded great. It's a really, really good vibe. Yeah, okay. Best guitar for under $500. Probably those Vibe Squire things, you know, the ones I've seen in stores, and I mean, these are pretty good. You know, when they first came out, it was like, well, these are so cheap, and then you look at them and like pretty solid. You know, probably one of those made in China situations. Okay. Moving down. Bought several Schecters for around $500. Incredible values. That's from Steve. Cool. Yeah, I'm not too familiar with the modern Schecters. They look like sort of like more, you know, like hard rock metal kind of vibe guitars, but maybe there's some other ones that I'm not familiar with. But that's great. Could you use your Gibson Explorer on your next demo video? That guitar needs some serious work. I have to get it set up. I want to put some different pickups in it, so it's going to take a minute. But the pickups sound kind of dark that are in it right now. I need it bright. It's a big slab of mahogany. It needs some more clarity. But it does look cool. Mission Engineering wahs or exotic wah are nice too. I haven't tried the Missions, although I used their volume pedal and expression pedal for many years. Exotic wah I had for a little while on my pedal board, and I liked it. Something happened to it; it broke. And I broke a lot of wahs in what the Vertex went, and then I put the exotic on. It broke. It's like I ended up going back for a while just my EVH wah because it works. You know, wahs, they seem to be temperamental. The switches in them. I was literally on stage at the Viper Room playing with Steve Stevens and stuff, and I went to hit the wah for, you know, like the climax of a solo, and fucking wah goes out, you know. I hated that, but I think that was my exotic. That bummed me out. Not to bag on the exotic guys, it could happen to anybody, you know. It's just like probably the bad switch or something like that. But after that, I pulled it off and just put my my EVH back on, because it's like, well, this thing never seems to break. So, and there's something to that. I mean, the Dunlops, I've never had a Dunlop or MXR wah break on me. It's never happened, but other ones I have. So I just been sticking with them since then. Yeah. Leon says, heard the exotic wah is supposed to be great. It is nice. It sounds really good, you know. Sounded really good. I just had a problem with it when it left a bad taste in my mouth when it was like got me in the middle of a gig at a cool moment when somebody's filming me right in front, and then that ends up on YouTube or something. You know, I was like, God damn it. How expensive was it to bring the Thomann coffee mug from Germany? It wasn't. I just threw it in my suitcase. Okay, thinking of moving to Southern California, says Mesa Recto. Any advice on things that are different from most of the rest of the country? Well, it's very expensive. The cost of living is high. So you want to find a neighborhood. The thing about California and about LA, a lot of people come here and they go like, oh, I didn't like it, you know, and you know, I went and I was like, well, where'd you stay? Well, West Hollywood, like for the whole time? Yeah, you know, it's like, well, that's not LA. It's like you got everything here from the the kind of beach cities, like beach communities like Manhattan Beach and Hermosa, and then you've got, you know, downtown LA, which is completely different, and then you got Pasadena, which is a city unto itself, but really you could just stay out there and never come into LA if you wanted to, and it's a great city actually, Pasadena. I used to live there for a long time. Great place to live. If there's no traffic, you could get into downtown LA within 20 minutes from there, no problem. So as fast as most parts of the valley. So a lot of people don't consider that. Like, my point being, there's these different communities and places in LA, and you have to figure out where you belong. And, you know, Pasadena is this nice small-sized city that's still, it's like a small to medium-sized city unto itself, just to the northeast of LA. And you could live out there and have a nice, you know, cool vibe going on out there. Great scene, you know, musically. There's gigs, there's things going on. So maybe, you know, my suggestion is if you're gonna move here, you got to check out all the different neighborhoods. Like, spend some time driving around to different parts of LA, because it really is like a collection of different cities all connected together, and you have to figure out where you belong and what's affordable. You know, I'm looking around now because I want to buy a place to live. I've been renting forever, and it's time to buy. So, although it's kind of a weird time to market right now, but I just feel like I got to get out of the rent game and buy something. So I've been looking around and trying to figure out what's important to me and where I can afford to go and still get good value in what I want. It's just it's a blessing and a curse, because there's so much in LA. You know, so many different. You know, do you want to live by the beach? Do you like the mountains? What do you like to do? You know, do you like nightlife? Do you like more like suburban? It's got a lot to offer. So just be aware of that, and just be aware that it is an expensive state to live in, but I like it. I don't really want to go anywhere else. Not at this point. I still love it here. The weather's great. Yeah, there's fires and occasional earthquakes and all that, but there's bad stuff everywhere. I don't know what else, but that's my main thing, is that don't come here and get jaded by like one particular part of, you know, if you just go to Hollywood or so, you might not like it. Go over the hill into the valley and hang out in, you know, Studio City, Sherman Oaks, see what you think of that. Go to Silver Lake, Echo Park, Los Feliz. The east side right now is really popular with, you know, sort of like more, you know, indie hipster crowd, but it's like, it's not, if you go to like Eagle Rock, Mount Washington, that area, kind of York Boulevard, it's cool over there and a little more affordable, and there's, you know, cool restaurants and places to hang out, and you can find deals on places to live. It's a different scene than the, you know, Hollywood's almost like a little tired. A little, it's probably the understatement, but you know, there's other places. Check out Pasadena. See what you think. Let's see. Why does the freak-out pedal cut short while using the Kemper? It cuts the note short. That's weird. I don't think it would be any different using any... It shouldn't be any different. It's just sensing what's coming into it. So the type of thing that's coming after it, you know, be it a Kemper amplifier, a modeler of any sort, shouldn't matter. Really. I don't think. Okay. Speaking of Strats with a humbucker and the bridge, your new Thornbucker in my Strat is awesome, says Christian. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. I do. Oh, Ben's down here in the super chat, and he says, thoughts on the Shure Cocoa Boost Reloaded. It's great. It's a Cocoa Boost that you can use as a clean boost, but then hold down the foot switch and switch it into mid-boost mode, which is one of my favorite all-time lead boosts. The Cocoa Boost is a magic. It's like a little bit more polite treble booster. It's not quite as gnarly and vicious, but just works. It's pretty great. Let's see here. Stuttering again, says Stealth Parrot. Well, sorry guys if the video is wacky. I don't know. Ben says it's fine here. Other people say no stuttering. Some people say stuttering video. Sorry. I don't know. Live streaming is not perfect. If you guys have a problem with it, maybe try reloading the page. And it'll kind of rebuffer, and it should work. You know, just try reloading. I'm gonna start suggesting that to people because I think that'll solve most of the problems if they have a stuttering issue. Okay. sounds yeah, somebody said close the video and open it back up. No problem. That's from Nathan. Will you be seeing Paul McCartney? Just saw him in Winnipeg. It was amazing. I don't know if I'm going to see him on this round or not. I would love to see him again. I've seen him live about 4 times. My good friend Brian is one of the guitar players. You know, he's a bass player. He's awesome. And Brian's, you know, helped me out getting to see him a number of times, and it's always so special. So I would love to see him on this tour. Lamech006 says, thank you again for that video with Doug Pinnick, one of the best gear videos ever. Thanks, man. Yeah, I mean, that was a thrill for me, too. And it was nice, organic, kind of just, I had questions for him, but the chat was really natural, the way that it just flowed. He's such a nice guy. I saw him the other night at the, you know, I played with him at the Steve Vai thing, and he's such a sweet guy. And I hope to do more with him. You know, he was like, we got to get together and do something. I don't know if that's playing or just going out for dinner or something, but that's what he was mentioning. So, okay. Any drum software you like, such as Easy Drummer, to use on your demo tracks? Yes, I use Easy Drummer 2, and I love it. Stephen Slate Drums is another one, and I'm also using one called Get Good Drums that I've used on a few recently. A couple demos that I've got coming out. The one that I just did for the pedal that you guys said, the Unit 67, I used some Loop Loft loops from my good buddy Blair Cinta. I went on and bought them to support my pal, and so that was just wave file loops. I have another tune that I did this week with those that sounded really, really good, so that's cool. But yeah, Easy Drummer 2 is great. Stephen Slate, Get Good Drums, which uses Contact Player as a instrument to load up the drum samples. All those work really good. Any recommendations for a backwards tape reel effect pedal that you've used? It's hard. You can use like reverse delay and set the mix at 100%, but it's always kind of a little bit weird. I don't know, maybe, do you guys have any good ways to do a backwards effect? That's what I've always done. Just mix the delay real loud and set it 100% wet, and then you play something and it comes back backwards, you know. Works pretty good. With like a short delay, real short, you can do that. Set it for like 30 milliseconds or something, and then 100% wet, play something, and it should come back backwards with no repeats. Zero, you know, it'll just do one repeat. Okay. Yeah, Vincent, my good pal, says, sent me the coffee. Thanks, Vincent. He says, I wire up boards here in New Jersey and also make custom cables, guitar, speaker, and patch, and I would never use solderless cable ever. Yeah, that's good advice. It's good in a pinch, but like if you're going, you know, it's not good for, it's going to fail. Just know that that'll be the weak link, and after a year, one of those cables will go bad, and you'll have a bad night because of it. Okay. Somebody's recommending Evidence Audio SIS2 best solderless cables. They are great, no quality issues at all. Yeah, I don't know. In my experience, you know, the Evidence is obviously a super high quality cable, so maybe it's good. Somebody's saying on numerous pro boards that Evidence is used. I don't know. I just go by the rig builders like Dave and stuff that, you know. Okay, let's see here. Moving down. Do you ever get distracted during a show, like totally lose your place? Knowing being a pro, people are counting on you, but yeah, sure. I have. I mean, I make mistakes all the time. Make at least 1 or 2 good ones every night if I'm playing. I remember playing Hotel California with Henley once and like forgetting one of the licks in the descending arpeggio thing at the end. You know, you get lost, and I'm like, oh, what is it? And I just stopped for a minute and missed like 5 notes, and then I found my way. And you know, hopefully up front they don't even notice. But that happened once. It was like I played the solo 1,000,000 times with him, and then one time I just forgot where to go. And then afterwards, I was bitching about that to Stuart Smith, you know, the other guitar plays in the Eagles as well. And I can't believe I did that, you know. And he looked at me and goes, dude, don't worry about it. He goes, Joe Walsh says that he screws that up at least once at least one note in that solo, he makes a mistake every night. So he's like, don't worry about it if you forgot. So that made me feel better. And even Joe, one of the slides, because you're sliding up and down doing the da-da-da-da-da-da, and you get that big slide, So anyway, is there anything you don't wear on stage because it gets in the way of your playing? Yeah, definitely. I mean, I can't really wear rings on this hand. It doesn't work. I can do it on this hand, but I don't like. I've had to play in suits and all kinds of stuff for different gigs, and I kind of hate it. I hate having anything on my arms below my elbow. I really do. I can do it, but it's not. It bothers me both on the guitar. Like if you got a suit coat on or something, and your arms on the guitar, and it kind of slides around and gets caught around the bridge and shit. I hate that. So, but. That said, it's sometimes best to just forget about that stuff and just be like, well, look at Joe Perry. He doesn't care. He's got all kinds of rings and crap and jewelry and stuff all over the guitar. And he makes it work somehow, and it looks cool in this rock and roll. So sometimes just play through it. Don't worry about it. It's funny how little things like that can get in your head, right? Like before a gig, like, oh, I'm not comfortable wearing this shirt. Now am I going to... And then you get all in your head about it. It becomes more of a thing that if somebody just handed you the guitar and you started to play, you probably wouldn't even notice, But you get it in your head, like if you let your mind run away with itself, well, this is going to be a problem wearing this, Maybe not. Mind over matter, or don't put any mind to it. Just pick up the guitar and play. Let's see. When am I going to have my own band? Blair Senta was saying the other night, come on, man, we got to go do some gigs for your record. I was like, okay. I agree. I would like to, So maybe in this fall I'll start thinking about like, okay, now I got 2 records worth. Time to learn 10 of these tunes and go out and do a gig. I think he was like, you kind of have to at this point. I think he's right. It's just an ordeal, I need to find one other guitar player that I can play second guitar for sure. I'm sure he would, play drums. I think of numerous people that have mentioned they'd like to do that. So I don't know. We'll see. It's daunting a little bit, especially with building a new studio and stuff. But we'll see. Thoughts on Fender Supersonic amps? I've tried them a little bit. I thought it was pretty good. The Supersonic is the one that has the kind of switchable bassman and something else clean channel, right? And then a drive channel with 2 kind of gain knobs that you mix. I was able to get some pretty cool tones out of that amp. Yeah, as I remember, I thought it was pretty good. Okay. The chat jumped all the way to the end here, but guys, I gotta go anyway. I just realized I'm almost at an hour and 40. So time to run. Okay. My heaviest guitar, I'm gonna go to the end of the chat here and kind of answer a few of the last questions. My heaviest guitar, weight-wise, probably one of my Les Pauls or my Nags. Steve Stevens has got some pretty good heft to it, but that's part of those guitars. They've got some weight to them for sure. Just mahogany these days. Let's see here. Hey Pete, thinking of trying the Celestion Plus IRs with Mix IR2. Is there a certain way you label these to use in Mix IR2? Not really. I just the folder's over on the right there, and you just kind of I have my Celestion IRs, and then it opens up with all the different ones that I got in there and the subfolders and stuff, and that's it. And then I just drag them over. One thing I do is once I find a combination I like, though, I'll store it in Logic as a channel strip setting, so that I can just, here's my AC30 go-to channel strip, or here's my Greenbacks channel strip, or whatever, and then I can just pull them up quickly. So you kind of do the work once, get the blend right, and then you can just pull it up after that and not have to hunt around every time that you open up. I'm a big fan of making templates and storing presets and stuff like that, so that it keeps your workflow when you're recording really fast and mixing. Any underrated pickup companies we should know about? I have a set of Thornbuckers and a PRS, and they are unbelievable, but I'm always on the hunt. The 2 that I have used, besides the Sirs, because those are the main ones that I use and having my signature set and stuff, but I love Ron Ellis. I know he's notoriously busy, and you got to get on this long waiting list and stuff, but Ron Ellis pickups are amazing. And Motor City, I've had really good luck with Wade's pickups. The second degree second degree black belt. I really like that pickup. Yeah, Arcane I have in my Scala. It has Arcane pickups. I don't even know what they are. They're PF something or other. I think they're Alnico 2, but they always sound good, so I never changed them. Okay, having problems setting up my telly with a 9.5 radius fretboard. Is fretting out on wide bends on the high E string. What's your approach to setting up tellies? Well, that could be a number of different things. You know, it's a 9.5. Casper is your name. You should probably have a tech look at it and see if there's a high fret somewhere or something that's causing it to fret out when you're bending. Does it fret out all the way up? You know, if it kind of stops at one point, you need to have the frets looked at. If you're doing like a wide bend and it's fretting out, and then it's not, it's, you know, probably an issue with the frets. So it's best to take that sort of thing to a tech and have them look at it. And the truss rod and stuff can affect all that as well. Okay. Let's see here. Have you tried out panning a sine in the Boss DD500? If not, you should. It's wonderful for making stereo effects, especially if you have to combine two delays and let them pan from side to side. That's cool. I'm not sure if I've done that. I've got stereo delays going in it, but I'm not sure if I used the pan sine or not. I'll take that. I'll have a look. See here. Did you hear that James Brown from Amp Tweakers is making a new amp? I did not, although I do like James Brown's designs. He was when he was at PV, he did a lot to do with the 5150. I think it was mainly his baby. And he also did the Classic 50 series, which are all great amps for the money. Terrific. And the Amp Tweaker pedals sound really good, I think. The other guitar player in Tiyoshi's band, Yogi, I almost said Yogi, he was my guitar partner in Chris Cornell's band. No, not Yogi, Ichiro. He uses an Amp Tweaker pedal. Sound really good. What's my thought on the Evertune Bridge? That's a good question. The Evertune is that bridge that you have to, it's like major guitar modification where you put this thing in that you got to cut out a lot of wood and stuff. But it uses a system of springs and pulleys and things to, once the guitar is in tune, it stays in tune and it's perfectly in tune. I think it's a great thing to maybe have on one guitar. I would do it on I would probably get a guitar built with it and just have it on that one guitar. Producers, I know, fella at Sphere Studios here in LA, he has one and he loves it because sometimes when you get young bands coming in or whatever and the guys aren't so good at tuning, he's like, just hands them that guitar, here, put this in your hand, then it's perfectly in tune. He doesn't have to worry about constant tuning and recording tracks that are out of tune. I think it's a good thing to have, on one guitar for that reason. If you just need to get something done and you don't feel like messing around with, if it's a complicated part or something where it's all over the neck and maybe this chord always sounds out of tune on your main guitar or whatever, maybe it can be a great thing for that because it's constantly compensating and stuff with the springs and the pulleys and stuff and the system and pulleys. I don't even know if it's got pulleys, but you know what I'm saying. It's a mechanical device that compensates for you, and I think that it would be good to have one guitar with it. I was actually talking with somebody the other day at the Steve Vai thing, and they were telling me that a friend of mine put it in one of their guitars that had a 339, one of those small body, hollow body Gibsons. I was like, ooh, I don't think I would have done that. I wouldn't have dug up one of those to put that bridge on there. I would do it on like a kit Telly or Strat or something. Yeah. Braxall says, I think you and Steve Stevens sound real good together. I love Steve, man. I love doing stuff with him and playing on tracks, and I love the stuff that he's done on my tunes. He's so much fun playing with that guy and working on music with him. He's a musical visionary. Okay, last couple questions. 6105 frets versus 6100 and 9.5 radius versus 12. I think a 9.5 radius is a real nice radius for Strat or Telly style guitars. 12 is nice. 12 is more like, I think, what's a Gibson 10? It's, it just depends. At night, actually, I would almost say the nicest one, I have this on one serve, the 9.5 to 12 is one of their compound radiuses that they do, and that is a great feeling thing. So you can have it all. You can have a 9.5 to 12 if you've got a Sir. 6105 versus 6100. I can use either. I've gravitated more these days towards the 6100. I just am comfortable on the big frets. I like them. On a Les Paul, they're maybe a little wide because of the spacing you get up high on the neck, but I think I kind of like 6100s these days. 6105 is nice. You know, for years it's like, oh, they're so big and it's kind of metal and like the whole whatever. But you know what? Screw it. I got comfortable on 6100s in the 80s, and that was when I was kind of growing up, learning how to play, and that's what I got on my signature guitar now for a reason. I like those great big frets. They feel good to me. So, and I don't have a problem with, you know, tuning with them or pushing too hard or any of that stuff. I like that almost scalloped kind of thing. I just do. And the little bit wider than the 6100s. Yeah. Metal EX Music says, wealth of knowledge is amazing. Thank you. It's just lack of diversity. This is all I think about. So I know a lot about one really specific thing and not very much about anything else in the world. That's the truth. A little bit one-dimensional. But what can you do? Callan says, best IR cab sim pedal under $300. Probably there's a few now. I've got a new X1 here that I've got to try. That I've got a demo. It's just got to get to it. It's going to take me a second. But the Moore Radar is another one. So look at the new X and the Moore Radar. Those are probably the best ones for under $300. If you had to keep with a maximum of 2 or 3 guitars, what specifications would you have in mind? I would probably have a great acoustic. I'd probably have one of my Sir signature guitars, and I'd have a Les Paul, something like that. Okay. Moving all the way to the end, guys. I'm going to get going here after 2 or 3 more questions. 1 more minute. Do I have my own tech? I have people in town I like to use. In Japan, I've had the same guitar tech every time I've worked with Tyoshi for the last 4 years. So my buddy Shu, he's my right arm over there. He's fantastic. And then there's people that I like in LA. There's a fellow named Eric at Lush Guitar, which is at Third Encore Rehearsal Studios. He's terrific. So give Eric props. He's a nice dude too. Pretty quick turnaround, does good work, fair prices. What's my favorite delay pedal? So many, too many to count. I gave the Echoplex props already, and I have the DD500 on my board now. Use the Timeline for years, it's great too. Have you ever played a Morris amp? Yes. I was thinking Morgan. Sorry, Morris. No, I haven't. Sorry. Boss GT1000, any opinion? I wrote some presets for them. The unit wasn't quite finished when I wrote the preset, so I haven't had a finished version of it in my hands, so I'm sorry, no I don't. Because I need to see like the finished one. Master built versus vintage. So I played plenty. I pick up some of the modern Fender master built stuff, and it seems amazing. You know, it seems like it's really well done. I don't know. I mean, vintage. You know, there's plenty of shitty vintage guitars out there, and there's probably plenty of dud new ones too. Probably fewer. The consistency is better now, right? But you get a good vintage guitar. Still, my Strat sounds like. I don't really play other guitars that have that particular. It's this resonance to it that's just like a great sound, and people talk about it like that guitar sounds really good, even in YouTube videos. You know, I don't know. It's hard to get around that. Okay, gonna go all the way to the end here. The last couple things. Braxall says, "Thank you for your streams and videos." Thank you, man. Thank you for being here. And L. Scott says, "Eric is my guy too." Cool. Yeah, he's good, isn't he? He's great. And good dude. And once again, a fellow up in Winnipeg was saying, will you be going to see Paul McCartney? I'll see him if I have the opportunity, absolutely. I would never not. He's a treasure. And Dan says, I just saw Paul Gilbert. That's cool. Paul is awesome. I agree. Saw Paul Gilbert Friday. His drummer played on your Dirty Town video. Are you sure? Not sure. That's Matt Logg. Is he really playing with him? Might be. Matt Log played in on my Dirty Town video, and on the song, on the record, because that's the live tracking is the video. Anyway, all right, you guys, I gotta run. That was good. And hey, one more time, I was using this today. Samson G Track Pro, seems like a terrific thing. I think it sounded pretty good. Hopefully you guys did too. And next week I'll figure out what to use, this one or the Audio Technica. I think they're both good options. Both a couple of really nice mics for live streaming, podcasting, recording, all that good stuff in the USB condenser microphone category. All right, everybody, have a great week. I'll see you next. Oh, damn it! One more thing. Next week is GitCon. I'm traveling on Sunday, so I won't be here once again. Yeah, it's probably not going to happen next week. It's always the travel on the Sundays, because I am flying that day. So anyway, I'll updates on my Facebook page and stuff like that. But I will probably just do a live stream right from there, from GitCon, because I'm going to that next week at the Warwick Framus Factory, and it might have to be on, on Monday or something like that. Monday, a week from Tuesday, something like that. We are doing live streams from GitCon in the evenings, so I guess it'll be kind of like morning or afternoon time if you're in the U.S. Every night, Monday through Friday, we're just going to be live streams with different topics every night. I'm moderating one of them. I think it's Thursday. So a week from this coming Thursday, I'll be moderating. It's a chat on modelers, plugins versus tube amplifiers, and are tube amps still relevant and all that kind of thing, or when are they, and when is the modelers the right choice, all that kind of stuff. So we're going to be having that live stream. It's going to be fun. Okay, guys, thanks for tuning in. See you soon.